Hey everybody, welcome back. This is technically the first episode of Sharing What Works. So we are live. We are live on YouTube. We are live on Facebook. And I am so excited to get to sit down with Connie from Rock to Recovery.
That's right.
And we are going to talk about this amazing work you guys are doing. And you and Wes Gear are doing this amazing thing using music to aid in recovery. And this is so compatible with my whole community, all the folks joining us from literally around the world.
We're so excited, yeah.
We were just doing a little test right before this, and I got people saying hi from Sweden and from all over the globe and Brazil. And
hey,
so
Sweden and Brazil.
Everybody's saying hi. So welcome, and tell me a little bit more about what you do first, and then we'll get into how you got into all this.
Well, I'm an addiction and mental health researcher, and I currently work with Rock to Recovery.
Nice.
Rock to Recovery is a music therapy program, but not the normal music therapy that you would think of as a master's level therapist. It was founded by Wes Gear in 2012. Wes is a founding member of the rock band Head PE and also played with Korn.
Nice.
And when he was done with the Korn gig, he was a sober musician in his 40s, and he's like, what am I going to do now?
Yeah.
And he thought, there wasn't music in rehab when he went to rehab. And so he was like, why don't I bring music into rehab? So we've hired a whole bunch of retired rock stars. They don't want to tour anymore. But, from bands like Seven Dust and DI and Korn and whatnot. Yeah. And they're all in recovery. Yeah. And we go into more than 100 treatment facilities in 4 states. And we have a contract with the Department of Defense for the AFW2 program, the Air Force Wounded Warrior program.
Oh, wow.
And we work internationally with that.
Yeah.
And we provide more than 500 sessions a month as an ancillary service in treatment facilities. So we might go into addiction treatment, mental health facilities, eating disorder clinics, any place where people are having problems, veterans, trauma, TBI, traumatic brain injury. Yeah. And we form a band with non-musicians. It's whoever's there.
Okay, so these are just the folks who are in recovery, and they form a band.
They form a band, write a song, and we upload it to the web in about an hour.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I got involved with it because I was working at a high-end treatment center in Malibu, and we had Rock to Recovery there. I happened to be down doing some training. I was living out of state. And they said, hey, do you want to come see this session? Well, because I look at complementary and alternative therapies, I said yes, and I expected it to be terrible, right? Because they're non-musicians.
Right, non-musicians.
In detox.
What are we?
I thought this is going to be horrible.
Right.
And what happened was I saw the magic of music and how it transforms an individual. Yeah. But what really sold me was the next day. Yeah. The clients were coming I was giving a presentation to the clients, and the clients were coming in with their phones because the songs had been uploaded the night before, and they're like, hey, did you hear what Raw Oysters did? No, but did you hear Folding Chair? And they're sharing their songs. I love the names. Right, well, they all name their bands, nice. And we have thousands of songs, so there are thousands of bands because every experience is a new one, so every time it's a new band name. So so we got to hear Raw Oysters and Folding Chair and all the things. And but it was amazing that they were so proud. Yeah. Because when was the last time a drug addict who did something they were proud of? Well, and isn't that their whole experience, that they're just getting kicked? They're getting kicked while they're down. You're not recovering. It's your fault, right? And I think a huge part of what my audience is familiar with is this experience of, addiction is so much about blame. It is you're failing to stay sober. It's your fault. If you were a better person, you wouldn't be, you wouldn't be relapsing. And so even their little successes, they're like, yeah, but in the big picture, I'm not succeeding. So all of a sudden you give them something to succeed with and be proud of. And one of the problems with mental illness and addiction, just in a general sense, is that people with these problems behave badly. And so, or can behave badly, right? So it's not that I don't like you or don't love you or want to hurt you, but listen, you're in the way of my drugs.
Yeah, exactly.
And so you either need to help me get my drugs, which we call an enabler, or get out of the way. Right. And if you don't do one of those two things, I'm going to hurt you. Yeah. Right? And that's the problem, is that the family and the people surrounding the addict don't really understand that that's not a choice.
What's not a choice?
That the behavior that you're going to get hurt if you don't either enable me or get out of the way.
Right.
And that's why we encourage people to get out of the way.
Right.
Right? That, you know what? You're going to do your addiction and you're going to suffer the consequences of that, and I'm going to choose not to be hurt by it.
Exactly.
Because that's what the disorder does.
Yeah.
Right? If I say to you, I need $20 to go score, and you say no.
Right.
Well, then I don't have any choice but to, take it from you, steal from you, manipulate you, whatever, because I have to get high when I'm using.
Substance is more powerful than the personal relationship, right?
Well, and
humans.
It's a neurological disorder.
Sure, absolutely.
The brain is
what we're
changed.
Starting to understand, right?
Well, that's the cutting edge of the research.
It's not just a disorder of willpower; it's a disorder of the brain. This is actually an addiction.
And that's what we love about music, because music has been shown to fire the whole brain.
Yeah.
So if we understand addiction as a feedback loop that's gone, the overdeveloped, right? That you're just on this hamster wheel that you can't get off of unaided.
Right.
I can't make a choice. And it's not the drugs themselves, it's the thinking about I've got to get loaded, I've got to get loaded, that forms those neural pathways. Music fires the whole brain.
Yeah.
So it gets us off of that feedback loop. Yeah. It also dumps, serotonin, oxytocin, dopamine. So we get a natural high, which the addicts love.
Yep.
They're like, whoa, I came to your session, I was dope sick, and now I'm not.
Yeah.
And not only now am I not, but I'm high. Yeah. Like, right on, rock and roll,
Yeah, you're right.
Come on back, we'll do it again.
Nice.
But it works in conjunction with other therapeutic, activities,
Yeah.
not on its own.
Right. Well, and I love, we were talking a little bit before this interview that you get this camaraderie out of playing the music together, right? You get this social experience, this connection with the other band members, that it's like we get to play music together. We get to be part of not just having the experience of having created the music, but being part of something, being part of, not just listening to other guys complain about the same thing that they've complained about week after week, but actually this connectivity, this camaraderie between them.
Well, one of the beautiful things about working with people in a treatment center is especially with addicts, is there's a self-centeredness there. I'm thinking about myself and my problems. You have the same with mental illness, at that level that you're in a residential program. Eating disorders, it's me and my problem and my illness, and that's what you get in talk therapy.
Right.
Is people focused on themselves.
Yeah.
With the music, you can't do it by yourself.
Right.
And they're not musicians.
Yeah.
I mean, occasionally someone comes in who's a ringer, and that's great, and they can sing or play, whatever.
Right.
But most of them aren't.
Yeah.
And so if they don't collaborate,
Yeah.
the song doesn't come together.
Right.
And that's what our guys, who are rock stars, they're all band members.
Yeah.
Right? So having been in bands for years and toured, they understand that collaborative process.
Yeah.
And what's magical is people who generally, maybe don't like each other, and then they come to Rock to Recovery and they're like, whoa, hey, wait a minute, because we'll have the people who don't get along maybe collaborate on the lyrics together or play drums together or whatever, so that it builds that community.
Now, I'm so flattered to have you here today because your big event is tomorrow.
My big event is tomorrow.
You guys have this whole thing, Rock to Recovery, Fonda Theater. It's sold out.
It's sold out, yeah.
You guys have, and so big celebrities.
We have a red carpet.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah,
That is amazing.
So we have a for-profit, which is how we started.
Yeah.
But there's so much need for mental health services across the board. And we work with youth, we work with veterans, we work with populations that don't have insurance. And so in order, we are starting in a shelter, a women's shelter in Nashville.
Oh, wow.
So in order to provide services, we have to have money. Yeah. And so we have a nonprofit wing. And, because everybody's in a band.
Rocktorecovery.org.
Rocktorecovery.org.
Nice.
So because everybody is in a band except for me. I'm the doctor with the rock stars. But, because they're all musicians, we have musician friends, and we have this huge event that funds our nonprofit work. And that is tomorrow night, August 24th, at the Fonda Theater in Hollywood.
Nice.
And we have Katie Seagal, who is known for being Peg Bundy on Married with Children. And
the Futurama,
right? Sons of Anarchy, Golden Globe recipient. She is going to jam with us. She actually came out to Los Angeles to be a singer and just happened to land huge and be an amazing actor and land huge roles. But so she's being honored tomorrow, and we are playing with Goldfinger, John Feldman, who is the lead singer of Goldfinger, our ska punk band. He will be a recipient as well, and playing Goldfinger's playing, along with Sacred Sons, which is the Rock to Recovery cover band.
Nice. So you guys are like 7 years you've been doing this?
Yeah, it was formed on 12/12 of 12 was the first Rock to Recovery.
And your history in this, so you used to be at Cliffside Malibu, and you've got a research background in this. And you come by this whole field honestly. I mean, this is your passion. Your
Oh, I love it. But I've also been sober over 20 years.
Okay.
And I was in recovery in grad school, actually, studying something completely different.
Yeah.
I worked for a nonprofit, and I also worked for in the music business and radio promotion.
Oh, cool.
Both of those for many years. I was in grad school studying, like I said, a different thing.
Yeah.
And I was in recovery and very depressed.
Yeah.
Extremely depressed. I have a lot of trauma in my background.
Yeah.
And the men and women from the services were coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And they're killing themselves.
Right.
And they were not staying sober.
Right.
And I thought, you know what, I'm many years sober,
Yeah.
and I'm miserable.
Yeah.
These people aren't getting sober and they're dying. There has to be better treatment for us.
Right.
And so I dropped everything that I was doing in my PhD program, got a new dissertation chair, everything changed, and I went into this to find those therapies that really work. And that's what we found.
Yeah.
There's great work. What you guys do, what Rock to Recovery does. I mean, there are these amazing activities that boost recovery, whether it's from mental illness, eating disorders, it doesn't make any difference, because they're all problems that are in the brain.
Yeah.
You know, and like with music, what we do, you know, everybody's brain works the same, right? And so the benefits that we get in a treatment setting, we now are bringing to the public with retreats. You know, because, you know, let me put it to you this way. If you have a bad day and you get in the car and a song that you love comes on the radio and you just do your own carpool karaoke and you belt it out, what happens?
You feel better.
You feel better. Of course you do. Why? It's not because your brain is different. It's not because the song is magic.
Yeah.
It's because that's how the brain works, and it responds to music.
Yep. Yeah, my little 13-year-old, 13-month-old, not 13 years. He's 13 months, and we've just discovered that he loves Led Zeppelin.
I was going to say heavy. They usually like metal.
I know it was bizarre. You know, we go from like Disney to like oh, you like Led Zeppelin? All right, dude. But it is. I mean, you see it at that age.
Sure.
Music moves you. I mean, it is an emotional experience for him. We know what he likes. We know what he doesn't like. You know, it's that core visceral feeling of like, music just moves you. So there is that innate sense of the music, the healing power of music all by itself.
Well, think about, I mean, one of our program administrators, Sonny Mayo, he always says, you know, we're made of music.
Yeah.
We have eardrums and heartstrings and heartbeats.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
We are made of music, and
rhythms.
we are made to sing.
Yeah.
You know, and you don't have to be that top 1% musician to get the benefit of that.
Who was it? I think it was Miles Davis. Who was it who said that the epitome of all music, the pinnacle of all, the best of all music, is to make your instrument sound like the human voice, right? If you can really make your violin sing or your trumpet sing, if you can really make your instrument sing, that is the best of the best.
I actually asked one of the guys about a guitar solo that Slash does.
Yeah.
And I think it was a Velvet Revolver song. And,
Nice.
you know, I was like, what is he doing there? And he's like, he's making it sing.
Yeah.
That's literally how they put it.
Literally, yeah.
Yeah. I was like, what's he doing? It's so beautiful.
So we're built to
making it sing.
Yeah. So our brain is built for rhythms. Our body is built for rhythms. But I love all the follow-ons from this, right? You've got the community, the sense of doing something together, the sense of accomplishment, the sense of a bigger purpose that you guys are, you know, you've got somebody who's an addict, they're feeling like they're just not accomplishing anything, they're feeling like a failure, and all of a sudden they're uploading a song to YouTube and they're getting comments and people are like, wow, look what you're accomplishing. Like the sense of accomplishment, the sense of camaraderie, the sense of, I love all of the pieces here.
Another big part of it is, you know, we use it as a therapeutic tool. It's not recreation. I say that all the time with insurers, right? They're like, oh, music, it's recreation. I'm like, it's not recreation.
Yeah.
What we're doing is working on the neurology, and part of what we do, we have a check-in at the beginning of the session so that people can share what's going on, and that becomes part of the song. And when you're working with people with eating disorders or traumatic brain injury, veterans with amputations, you know, you're talking about some pretty dark stuff.
Yes.
We let them process that.
Sure.
Everybody that works with Rock to Recovery is either a drug and alcohol counselor or on their way to becoming one.
Okay.
So it's that we use that therapeutic background to help release that. We put that into the lyrics, but we put it in the verses.
Okay.
Because the verses are the part that nobody remembers.
Right.
So we let them process that, put it into the verses. Then when we write the chorus.
So basically they're talking about their pain, they're talking about their experience, so you're getting some negative stuff in those songs of like, this is
whatever
what I went
that
through,
darkness is. So for example, we had a veteran who wrote this beautiful and horrifying rap, spoken word piece. It was about 2 or 3 minutes about how she wanted to kill herself. And the night before, she's like, you know, and how she really graphic about how she wanted to kill herself. We let her perform that. That's okay. We want you to get that out.
Right.
But that's in the chorus, or in the verse, because then in the chorus, we turn it around. And because what's the chorus? The chorus is the hook. The chorus is the money. The chorus is the part that you're, that's exactly what we want at the end of the song. You know, so everything is going to be all right. You know, that's where we're going to go with it. You know, at the end. So when they leave, we've processed that darkness, and we can take that to their therapist and whatnot. We can take that out for other support. We've processed that darkness, but they leave, you know, arm in arm, singing their song in the hallway. And we want that to be the uplifting part.
I love it. So one of the things we have is this really cool 2-minute video of Wes Geer talking about his process.
Okay, great.
And so if you guys want to hit play on that and let them see who.
I thought that music could never be a part of sobriety. Just didn't make sense to me. After staying sober about 2 years, out of nowhere, I got a text from the band Korn asking me to come play with them, and they actually wanted a sober guitar player. The best success of my life ever musically came because I got sober. I just felt like I wanted to give back and not just finish out my life as another guitar player, and figure out a way to bring music into the treatment setting, because I knew how much it had helped me. We live in this society where everybody's just over-medicated. We believe so much that you can get that kind of feeling out of music, that instead of reaching for Xanax, what if you reached for a guitar? I remembered that I had a friend who had a place called Balboa Horizons, and I talked to him about the idea of bringing music into treatment, and he loved it. The idea of Rock to Recovery was to have a band experience, to get together, to write a song, and to record it, so that at the end you could have it to listen back to. When you're struggling to get this idea out, and then all of a sudden it comes together, the cohesion, the band, the lyric, the melody. And I think you watch everybody kind of just, that's us right now. It's the human's desire to create and express and get lost. So we want to continue to be advocates that music is the medicine.
We're back sharing what works with Connie from Rock to Recovery. They get their big event tomorrow, and you guys just heard the story of Wes Geer and how he started all this with Connie, and one of the things we were talking about off camera is just the world is, I describe it as the world is hurting right now, and we're taking it out on heroin, and the world is, I hear these horrifying statistics that when people die on a block from heroin, sales go up.
Yes.
People go by, they're like, where's the dealer who killed you? I want to find that dealer.
Well, that's because when you're using opioids, particularly heroin, you're trying to feel nothing.
Yeah.
And so you're trying to get to that point where you almost die. That's really what you're looking for.
Yeah.
And then when you come to from that, right, you're like, oh, that was amazing. I want to get to that point again.
Wow.
And you are going to overshoot the mark.
Sure.
You're going to overdose.
Right.
And eventually, and especially we see this in treatment a lot. People say, well, one more time.
Yeah.
The only one more time is the time you overdose.
Right.
And die.
Yeah.
And die from that.
Well, and so many people are dying right now. I mean, we just have this absolute crisis across the country and across the world. And what do we do?
Well, it really is. I mean, you see it globally, but it really is an American problem. This overdose and suicide, or both together. Okay. America is hurting. Yeah. It's the statistic is something around the point of America is about 5% of the world's population and uses over 80% of the world's painkillers. We don't have 80% of the world's pain. Right. But clearly we are hurting. Right. And clearly there is a problem. Yeah. And so what we are engendering to do with Rock to Recovery, and what I do as a mental health researcher and advocate is to, and I'll be on the steps of the California Capitol on September 4th, advocating for more money to go into research and into recovery. Yes. Because what we see with insurance, the way insurance is trending, things like Rock to Recovery are increasingly not being covered, and there's less and less time that people are able to get into a treatment facility. Yeah. So it used to be a 28-day program or 30-day program. That was sort of standard, and people think that that's still true, and it's not. Yeah. We now see people are being kicked out of residential at between 17 and 21 days, which is barely enough time to detox somebody. Right. And then they're pushed out into IOP, intensive outpatient programming. Okay. And the way they get back into residential is to fail out. Well, what does fail out mean? It means to relapse and to usually overdose. Gotcha. Because the most likely time for someone to die is right after they've gotten out of treatment. Right. Because we've detoxed you, so your tolerance has decreased. Right. You're not used to using at the same level that you were before, but your brain is still wired. Right. So, for example, if I started drinking again, I was a drinker. If I started drinking again, at the end of my drinking, I drank 2 liters or more of hard liquor a day. Yeah. I haven't had a drink in over 20 years. Yeah. My brain, though, still thinks that I'm drinking at that level. Yeah. But I don't have the same body I had 20 years ago. Right. Not only do I not have the tolerance, but I'm 20 years older, and so I'd die. It wouldn't be very long. That's what happens to people who are opioid addicts, you know. Right. And we just lost one of ours last year. Oh, no, one of our Rock to Recovery guys, Christian Heldman. He'll be honored at the concert tomorrow. Yeah. He relapsed, and we believe it was a very short time from when he started using heroin again to when he was. We believe it may have been just a matter of days. Sure, why not? And, get out. That's right back. Yeah, wow. to dead.
So those of us doing stuff like yourself, like Rock to Recovery, that is making a difference, this is crucial. This is necessary. This is important. What you guys are doing is such important work.
Thank you. It's not only is it important, but it's important. This is why we're doing the show. Yeah. Because the concert tomorrow at the Fonda. Because I can find people who can pay for this. Yeah. Right? And, and you can work with us directly and go on a retreat with us to Bali or to Costa Rica. We're doing those things. Yeah. But what I'm really passionate about is bringing this kind of work, whether it's yoga or breath work or somatics or neurofeedback or music, bringing those therapies because they don't work well on their own. They work best synergistically when we put them together. Yes. Right? Mm-hmm. Because we want to get works. Right. We want to get the brain firing in different ways. So if we go from neurofeedback to music, to then we do some talk therapy because you can't sit in talk therapy all day. You'll kill somebody. Right. Oh, it was so terrible. Like, no, that's not a thing. No. So that's what we're doing is trying to bring this because until we get our insurance and our health care changed so that people really can get access to quality treatment, mental health treatment in particular, at the level that they need it. You know what? 21 days or 28 days, we've known that the standard for residential care, that the optimal is between 90 and 120 days. Yeah. We've known that for over 40 years.
Yeah.
Insurance was decided that they would pay for 30 days, and now they're not even paying for that.
Yeah.
So when we can get this care to the people who need it, because how many people who are, drug addicts or suffering from severe mental illness, eating disorders, traumatic brain injury, are veterans, they're not the ones most of the time at, in the C-suite, high executive, high paying jobs.
Right.
They might have a family member that they're able to get on some sort of insurance that way, or they might have some money from some, other, but that's not the majority of people.
Well, you said a horrifying statistic, which is that a lot of times having more money can actually be a thing that holds you back, because there's not the pressure to be sober. So the money can actually, if you're well funded, it can actually prevent you from.
So that was my experience, was that when I was deciding whether or not I wanted to get sober, was I was living with my grandparents, and they had some money. I was in my early 20s, and I had nothing, but I realized that there were no road bumps, right? There were no speed bumps in the road, that I was going to go from drunk to dead, that if I had gotten a DUI, which I didn't, but that was by happenstance, but if I had gotten a DUI or some other legal trouble or something like that, that they were gonna make that go away. And that's the problem we see with enabling in general. And I saw this a lot, at the treatment center that I worked at, was, some of the people were very wealthy, and you'd see two parents fighting and their 20-something, adult child, but still their child, in the middle of that, and they're fighting over these things, and you're like, that your kid's going to die. And that's the thing about addiction. That's the thing about mental illness. It's what, my heart goes out. Well, I love working with veterans because, they're going to die. And there's something that I can do either to step in and intervene and say, no, you can have a better life. Or at the very least, because we lose people all the time, at the very least, give you a glimpse of hope, an experience of joy, even if you are 2 weeks later going to relapse and die.
And it's on our shoulders. It's on the shoulders of the work you're doing. It's on the shoulders of so many of the therapists who tune in and watch us here, and it's on the shoulders of the folks doing psychotherapy and neurofeedback and music therapy and all of these things to help bridge this declining gap, this declining problem of, what you just said, the veterans, they will die. I mean, to put it that painfully, powerfully, that when they're using, that is their road. They're looking to get one more dose, and that's the last one, right? I mean,
that's the last one. Yeah.
So it is on our shoulders. So I really appreciate the work you're doing.
Well, I just want to say, it is on our shoulders, but there's so much hope.
Yeah.
That's what I do. There is good research. It's not generally funded in the United States. A lot of this is coming from other countries. In the United States, the majority of the research is about handling addiction and mental illness as a chronic illness that can be controlled. I'm trying to think of the right word. Controlled managed with medication. And my experience, there are some forms of mental illness that's absolutely true. My experience, particularly with addiction and with trauma, is that doesn't really work. That's a short-term solution, and there's a lot of profit in that for somebody. And so I think that's where the research goes. But there is amazing research about breath work, about music, about art, about neurofeedback, about somatic therapies, that there's true healing. There's true healing from depression, from anxiety, from suicidal ideation, real healing to be had if we use these complementary therapies. But you have to go out and look for them, because if I teach you how to meditate, you might even pay me for that, or I might just give that to you. But if I teach you how to meditate, then you go off and meditate, your brain and body heal itself. There's nothing for me to make in there in terms of financially.
Exactly. You don't have a patent on that.
Exactly. And so it's the same thing with music. If I tell you, hey, you know what, you're feeling down, sing in your car, you'll feel better, and you do that, there's nothing in that for me. Right? And so that's what, so people say, well, that's not, that's not the kind of, where's your evidence-based research? I was like, well, who's going to pay for the research?
Yes, thank you.
Because there's no money to be made off
Right.
of it. If,
Yes.
there's no money to be made off of healing people. I don't want to manage your illness. That's
Right.
not what I do.
Right.
There are kinds of illnesses that need management.
Yeah.
Diabetes is one. I'm not a diabetes doctor.
Right.
Right? Because that's not what I like to do.
No.
I want people to heal.
Yeah.
And that is really what I'm looking at.
Nice. That was a really good positive message. Thank you for pulling me out of the moment of just concern about where the world is. I love that you have a positive message.
Well, I can't live there.
No.
Every single week in Rock to Recovery, someone that we know that we've worked with in one of the, we work with over 100 treatment centers.
Yeah.
We do over 500 sessions a month.
Yeah.
Someone leaves, relapses, and dies. We hear it every week.
Yeah.
And these are people that my guys know.
Yeah.
Like, they wrote a song together.
Right.
And they're usually young people.
Yeah.
Veterans that we work with, they kill themselves.
Yeah.
That's part of it. But if I stay there, then I can't do this work.
Yeah. Right.
And so I have to look at, who can I save? And and I'm going to give you my best.
Yeah.
And then you're going to go off and you're going to do what you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that isn't on me. What I do is I want to give that hope, and I want more people on the team.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm just me.
Yeah.
Right? And we can reach however many people we reach through this, but whoever's listening, then they can change the way they work. How, especially if you're a therapist or if you're, just, working with people in your community.
Yeah.
Well, what are the things that you can bring in, and how can you advocate, and how can we change how insurance works, and how can we change how veterans are treated, and how can we change those systemic issues?
Yeah.
That's what we can do.
I love it. Good message of positive. I like it. Connie, thank you so much for sitting down with me. The website is rock2recovery.org, and you can find me at sharingwhatworks.com. I'm going to be bringing these back. So you had my coffee with Kurt before. That was before my son was born, and those kind of went away for a little bit. We were distracted. I don't know how other new parents do it, but some of my responsibilities, creating our weekly little podcast here, didn't always happen right when he was first brand new, and so now that he's a year old, we're going to hopefully have more of these sharing what works and have more wonderful guests like Connie. Thank you so much for sitting down with me.
Thank you so much.
I really appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you. They fell asleep in the booth.